Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Profit Minds podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Stephen Kirch, creator of the Profit Minds Growth System, a unique blend of profit growth, productivity acceleration, and building robust business process for scale. In every episode, I interview entrepreneurs and small business owners from around the world with a unique story to tell. You can find the show on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple and Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and more. Well, hello, everyone. Today, my guest is John Long, the driving force behind Think AI, and a sought-after mentor and speaker. And today, we're going to talk about how to transform your business operations with AI. Welcome, John.
Thank you, Steve. Great to be with you. Great to be with your listeners, and happy to have a conversation today.
Yeah. So, as you know, the first question that I always ask, tell me your story. How did you get here?
So a bit of an interesting story. I'll go quickly, but right out of college, got into real estate and then into construction, which is not the typical background for someone that's running an AI company. But back in about 2010, I had some good friends that were in the technology space, and I saw their careers just really taking off. And I was doing well, but I wasn't buying boats and second homes and things like these guys were doing. And I said, "What are you guys doing? How do I get in on that?" And they said, "Oh, we're in tech. You've got to get into tech." And it turns out that going from a real estate investment career into technology is not as easy as you would think. Most tech companies wouldn't even give me an interview or a first glance. And so I was talking with one of my buddies, and I said, "How do I break into the tech space?" He said, "You have to find someone willing to take a chance on you." And I had an old mentor of mine who happened to be running a small software company, and he said, "Yeah, I'll take a chance on you." And I wanted to get into sales, and he said, "You can have a sales role, but you've got to prove yourself first. I'm going to start you off in tech support, and once you work your way up through tech support, then we'll move you into training, and once you've done training, then we'll move you into a sales role." And he says, "It's probably going to take 6 to 12 months for you to do that." And so I went from running my own businesses to a $12 tech support job.
Oh my.
And anyway, it was interesting, right? A new world. But I learned very, very quickly. I've always been a quick learner. And within 3 months, I had moved through all the things they needed me to move through, and I was in sales. And within 2 months, I was their top sales rep. And so got into technology, broke my way in, and worked in the technology space in sales, a bit of product development, and then some leadership roles. And about 6 years ago, I was a VP at a company that was doing machine learning, which is a form of AI.
Right.
We were using machine learning and computer vision to take aerial imagery and pull data out of this aerial imagery and create three-dimensional models of the properties that we were flying over and things. And we took a process that humans were doing in about 2 or 3 hours, and we were able to do it in about 2 or 3 minutes with our models. And so the lights started to come on, like, wow, there's something to this. But for a long time, for several years after that, I thought, it's cool for this 3D modeling engineer type of stuff, but it's not going to do anything else. And about a year and a half ago, I realized there's something to this AI thing. This is really coming about nicely. And my business partner and I were starting a new company. And I said, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool if we could find an AI tool that could do kind of the SDR, the pre-sales, prospecting and lead qualifying, scheduling type of work for us?" And so we searched and searched and searched, tried to find something, couldn't find anything that could do all of the things we wanted. And so we said, "Well, let's see if we can build one." And so we started building this AI tool, and it was just something we were going to use internally. We had no intentions of turning it into a product or into a business. But long story short, built this product and said, "Hey, this is actually pretty good. Maybe others would be interested in this." And we started sharing it with some others, and kind of classic story. People said, "Yeah, this is good. We're interested." And so we pivoted hard into to AI, and just said, "Okay, we're going to be an AI company and here we are today, Think AI, about a year later, with an AI communications tool that can do the pre-sales stuff that we started off trying to build, but it can also do customer support and HR and a number of other things. So that's
Yeah.
how we ended
So
up where we
let's
are.
yeah, let's talk a little bit about what your tool does, because there's lots of people selling AI bots, AI tools, right?
Yeah.
What is it that makes your bot, your product better than or different than others, and what is it, who's it designed to serve?
Yeah. So first of all, our tool is omni-channeled. What I mean by that is information that our agent gathers maybe through a text conversation with a contact can then be fed into an email conversation with that contact and then can be pulled into a phone conversation. So it really is like speaking with a person, right? Where you've had some texting conversations, some emailing, some phone calls, and it just weaves all of that information together. But we build these custom AI agents around the business. So we sit down with the business owner, business leaders, and we say, hey, what process is it that you're trying to solve for? What are you wanting the AI to do? And so while it's, it's not an off-the-shelf sort of solution where you're buying something in a box and you get what you get and make it work. This is something that's very customized to the end users. We can do deep integrations into their processes, into their workflows. We're working on some things right now, for instance, for car glass, windshield glass repair and replacement shops, where our AI agent can literally go into their industry database, and it can look up based off either a VIN or a make, model, year, the type of glass that's needed, check inventory levels, quote prices, and even complete sales, so that they can just autopilot pretty much that entire piece of their business. So customers are just showing up, the glass shows up, they do the repair, the replacement, and it's all done for them, all managed by AI. So those are some of the things that we're doing, but very highly customized AI agents for these businesses.
Now, are there businesses that it works better for or not as well for? I mean, is there a particular niche that this really shines for?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. And we keep trying to niche down, and we have niched down in some areas like the auto glass piece that I mentioned, and a few others. But because it is customized, it's a done for you. So it's not where the customer is having to do the customization, but because we are able to customize it, we can literally kind of shape and mold this to fit pretty much any business. But generally speaking, it's used on either a pre-sales, kind of sales qualifying, the SDR type motion, customer support or customer service on the back end, or like HR. So any of those needs, for the most part, across the board, we're able to service.
That's interesting. You said HR as well, because I mean, that's human relations, and yet you have an artificial intelligence doing what many people think is the most sort of touchy-feely part of a company.
Yeah,
Talk to us about how that works, how effective it is.
yeah, so we've got agents that can help with kind of the recruiting process. Recruiting is really sales, right? We think of
Sure.
it as HR, and so it's in a different org chart and everything, but it's really sales, right? You're selling people and coming to work for the business. So that fits really nicely. But we also have agents that will do first round interviews. And we actually kind of stumbled into this on accident. Several months ago, we opened a couple of positions and started advertising for them. And we're a small shop, right? We use a lot of AI, not as many people. And so we were thinking, hey, we're going to get a few applicants. We'll interview them, we'll find the right person, and we'll be in good shape. Well, in 2 days, we got like 120 applications. Right. We did not physically have enough time to interview all of the people as fast as the resumes were coming in. And so my business partner and I looked at each other and said, what are we going to do? We've got to weed out a lot of these people. And so we were trying to figure out, okay, well, if we have one of our assistants call and then we're doing an interview, and then after a second, we looked at each other and said, we're an AI company. Let's just build an AI agent to handle this for us. And so within an hour or two, we built an AI agent and had it run all of the first round interviews for us. And this was with several different positions, but we were able to train it on the different positions, the types of questions to ask, what sort of qualifying we needed for each position, and then how to kind of pass people on to the second round. And so, HR was born, right? We were able to now do
Yeah.
HR.
So it's not this is not the, replacement for the HR professional in the sense of conflict resolution and those kinds of things. It's really about the first round of screening for applicants. I was
Yeah,
listening to a podcast yesterday, that they were talking about how how AI is sort of breaking as you discovered, right? AI, because people are generating their resumes, they're customizing their resumes using AI, and they can apply to hundreds of places in a day because
hmm
they have these AI bots that go out and scrape like Indeed or those kinds of places for all of the things that have the right kind of keywords. And then they have the AI sort of upload their customized resume and create a customized cover letter that HR departments are being overwhelmed with. So I think you've hit on something, that again, people that are in those departments can't handle the flood of resumes that they're getting. But one of the questions that raises is, how do you know that the AI is doing a good job screening and getting you the top handful of candidates, and that the AI resumes are, the resumes that are coming in aren't AI generated and therefore, well, I won't say falsified, but maybe embellished or how do you make sure that it's really doing the kinds of things that it needs to do that a human might pick up on pretty
Yeah.
quickly?
Well, I think, people have been embellishing resumes for about as
Sure.
resumes have been
Yeah.
around. So I don't know
Fair
that we're
enough.
ever going to quite get around that.
No.
But with AI, and it doesn't matter if we're talking HR or really any AI usage, we like to try and follow what we call the 10-80-10 principle. And what that is the first 10% of any AI related task has to come from people. People have to design this. We need to have that human input to design, like, what is it that we are wanting the AI to do? If we're going to have them do interviews, how and what questions and what information and how are we going to grade those or rank those? And so there has to be this initial input layer that's set up by the people, right? Then the middle 80% can be done by AI, and it can do it really very effectively in many cases, but it tends to output a rough draft of whatever the output is. It's not the final draft. And so that last 10%, humans have to step back in and do a little bit of that final polishing. And that's true with the interviews. We had AI help us to ask the right questions and gather the right information. We had it give some assignments to the people and say, okay, if you're interested in moving on to round 2, we need you to do these things, kind of like you would do in a typical interview, right?
Sure.
And if the person's not going to listen close enough to do a couple of simple tasks, we knew they weren't the right fit for us. And so we were able to help weed people out that way by having some checks and some balances in place, and then doing that final polishing. We still did review a number of resumes, and then we did second round and then third round of interviews before we actually hired folks. So, a little bit of a typical follow through process there. But yeah, I mean, you start with kind of that human engagement, turn it over to AI, finish with human engagement. Is a very good way to handle that.
No, I like that. I mean, that's one of the things that we teach people when we're talking about using AI, right? There has to be a human in the loop. Um, and heard it said by a lot of people, right? AI isn't going to take your job, but somebody that's trained to use AI effectively and efficiently may very well.
Yep. Yep.
So
You're
this
right.
is a similar kind of case, but again, the things that you can do, some of that initial screening, um, it can be very effective. But I
Oh,
love the way you start with the human input into the process and then the human at the output.
yeah.
I think
Well,
that's
our focus with our agents, there's a lot of people running around out there saying, oh, AI is going to take over your jobs and, get rid of people, eliminate people. We take a bit of a different approach, and we tend to say, hey, look at this more like a Tony Stark Iron Man analogy, right? Your employees, the people that you have, particularly if they've been there for a little while, they have some domain expertise. They have understanding of business processes. They know, who do I go to when I really want to get something done? I'm going to walk down the hall and I'm going to talk to Patty and I know she's going to take care of it, right? AI is not going to know those sorts of things. And so you don't want to just throw the people out, but instead partner them with this super suit, with this AI super suit that turns them from Tony Stark into Iron Man, and allow them to get, 2 or 3 or 10x the production, because they're able to just do so much more than they otherwise would have been able to, but maintain that domain expertise, keep that's valuable and that's difficult to come by. And so we try to take more of an empowerment philosophy as opposed to an elimination philosophy.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful. I mean, that's one of the things that we talk to the leaders that we work with and say, look, I mean, you have 3 options if you're going to double the productivity of your typical knowledge worker, which is what we find, right? You can fire half your staff.
Yep.
You still get the same amount of stuff done. You save a lot of money, but we don't recommend that, right? The other thing you can do is, right, just double the output of everybody, right? They get twice as much of the same stuff done. But the real magic comes when they get to move beyond and leverage that domain expertise to do all those things that they wish they had time to do, but for, a variety of reasons, mostly because they got a bunch of busy work to do,
Yep.
they can't. And this AI really helps them do that. And what we
Yeah,
find, and I don't know if you found this as well, is that they're not only more efficient and effective, but they're also more engaged.
well, so yeah, our mission statement is that we are saving humanity billions of hours by helping people to do better work and less busy work. That's what we are focused on doing and helping. And there was a really interesting study done. You may have seen this a couple months ago. It came out through Harvard. They worked very closely with Procter and Gamble, and they studied 700 and something people. I don't remember the exact number, 734 people or something like that at Procter and Gamble. They had 4 groups of people. Or 4 groups that they studied. They had individuals working by themselves, no AI, individuals working with AI, groups working without AI, and then groups working with AI. And no surprise, the groups working with AI had the highest output. The next highest output was individuals working with AI, followed by groups and then individuals without AI. But the other thing that came out from this study that was so interesting is that the people working with AI, not only were they more productive, but they were happier. Their employee sentiment was much higher. And it was because, like you said, the busy work, the stuff that makes work, right? That makes it kind of that heavy feel was taken care of for them. And they got to focus on the pieces of work that they enjoyed, they were passionate about, that they found, a lot of joy in doing. And all of a sudden, man, not only were they producing more work, it was better quality work. They were able to do it faster. And so, yes, that's why companies that utilize AI smartly will not just advance faster than their competitors. They'll literally surge past those competitors because their output will just grow so quickly, so fast.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask this question anyway, but I think you've sort of answered it already, right? Do you think that every business needs to become an AI business to stay competitive?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And the answer is yes, kind of. Does every business need to become an AI business? No, I don't know that we need to figure out how to use AI to do every single task in the world. But I do think that those businesses that use AI to drive efficiency and to empower their people will be the ones that survive long term. And those businesses, kind of like you said earlier, that don't use AI, it's not that they will lose their jobs or their businesses to AI, but they'll lose their businesses to competitors that are using AI. They just won't be able to compete. There's like my example earlier, when 6 years ago we were flying airplanes over cities taking pictures of houses, and it would take a person 2 to 3 hours to draw a 3-dimensional model of that house. Well, our AI tools that we were developing back then could do that in 2 to 3 minutes. Like, you just can't compete. It's like going to a job with a shovel versus a backhoe. The backhoe is going to win. The technology is going to win.
That reminds me of the proper use of AI, right? You give somebody who's used to swinging an axe a chainsaw, and a chainsaw doesn't work very well if all you do is swing it. You have to learn how to turn the chainsaw off. It's a different way of working.
Yeah.
But once you learn it, it's so much faster.
So that's actually, I love that you brought that up. So our company is called 𝐓𝐡, 𝐡HYNK, Think AI. And that name is chosen on purpose because as you use AI, as you start to understand what AI can do, and you've started to employ it a little bit in some of your work, you literally start to look at the world differently. You think differently. And you no longer look at problems and try to solve it the way that you used to. You look at those problems, you go, oh, well, if we had AI do this, this, and this, we can take care of that very quickly. And all of a sudden, big problems become little problems because you're thinking differently. You're doing things differently.
And think different was already taken. Yeah.
Somebody used
another technology company somewhere. I don't remember.
Somewhere along the way.
Yeah. So AI is changing so fast. I'm curious what you think the next 12 to 24 months might look like.
Yeah, that's an interesting question because it is changing so fast. One of my favorite examples of this was about a month ago. There was an article that came out and they showed a picture of a bird that they had ChatGPT make a year ago versus a picture of a bird that they had ChatGPT make today. Again, this is about a month old. And the bird from a year previous was a compilation of like a couple of circles and a triangle, you know, and you're like, if I squint my eyes and turn it sideways, it looks like a bird, right? And then the picture of the bird today was like photorealistic. You could see the details of the feathers and of the claws and the beak and things. And it looked like a detailed photograph. And I don't know how you measure the advancement from circles and triangles to photorealistic in a year, but it was advancing very, very quickly, right? And that's representative of what's happening in the world of AI around us anyway. And so things are moving very, very quickly. I think that in the next 12 to 24 months, AI in some form will become so ingrained in our lives that when it stops working, it will be similar to when the internet goes down or when we forget our cell phone at home and we're like, oh my gosh, how do I get by?
How do I function without?
My goodness, right? We will very, very quickly become that dependent upon AI in some form. And some of it is because it's just being pushed on us through technology, right? Our cell phones, our email clients, things like that are just pushing AI into our lives. Now, at a deeper level, and really at a more useful level where it becomes the process, not outside of the process where we kind of pause and jump to it and then come back. But I think we'll see it start to become more and more in line with business processes. And I think that that adoption rate for some businesses will be extremely fast. Others will be much slower. And we will start to see a very significant delta between those businesses that are using AI and those that aren't. And unfortunately, those that aren't using it and they don't recognize the importance of AI until that delta becomes so significant that they start to realize it may be too late for them to catch up.
So how do you help business owners, salespeople get over the fear of AI and how it's gonna take over? I mean, in the worst case scenario, you have, like films like The Matrix or Terminator, or those where the AI is the bad guy, iRobot. How do you talk to people about adopting AI through the fear?
Yeah, so there's a natural adoption curve that everyone goes through. I've yet to meet someone that hasn't followed this curve. And usually what it starts with is they will log into ChatGPT or one of the similar programs, Grok or Claude or Perplexity or something
Copilot,
like
something, yeah.
that. They'll log in and they'll try something that is totally inconsequential, right? Tell me a joke. Draw a picture of Miss Piggy, whatever, right? They'll ask it to do something and they'll get a result back and they'll go, that's interesting. That was actually pretty good. Okay, well, and then they'll try something else that's slightly higher consequence, right? Okay, Give me a recipe for dinner tonight. Well, it looks pretty good. I think I'll try that, right? And hey, I made this for dinner tonight. I got it from ChatGPT. Look, it's good, right? But they slowly start to kind of ratchet up the consequence. And soon they'll get to a point where they go, gosh, that was pretty good with the recipe. I wonder how it would do with maybe an email. I've got a kind of a tricky email I need to write. I'm going to see if AI can help me with that. And they try it. And this is where AI starts to get used out of process, right? Where it's like, this is the lane I'm driving in, but I'm going to stop my car. I'm going to get out of my car. I'm going to walk over here. I'm going to use AI. I'm going to bring a piece of it back to me. I'm going to get back in my car and I'm going to keep driving, right? And they're doing that, right? Where they're pausing work, doing something with AI, pulling it in, copy, paste, those sorts of things. And then they start to get to the point where they go, okay, how do I just bring this in so that AI is part of the process? And that's what we're seeing a lot of companies do today. That's where we are in the AI evolution right now, is they're starting to create processes with AI built into those processes. The next stage, and this is where things will really accelerate. We think they're going fast now. We have no idea what fast looks like. The next stage is when we are able to go to AI and say, create the process for me. Do it. I want this end result. Do whatever you need to do to get that end result, go. And
Right.
once we get to that point and we're able to turn entire processes over to AI, my goodness, I don't know what it's going to look like.
Yeah. That's the what I think what they call agentic AI,
Well,
right?
we're doing agentic AI right now. I think we're providing agents where we're able to give it a outcome and have it work towards that outcome, but
Right.
it's still fairly contained.
Right.
But when we are able to go and go to an AI and say, nothing exists, there's no
Yep.
program or anything like that.
Right. Don't have to really train it, right?
Write the
It's just,
program, develop the software, whatever it needs to do. You create the process and just get me this end result.
yeah.
That's when it gets crazy. And
Yeah.
we're not far from that.
No, I know that the OpenAI's operator, which was released
Operator is
several
amazing.
months ago, it's not very good, but it's the start of that. I mean, it's just very limited in terms of what it can do.
I was playing with Google's AI Studio just a few days ago, and they've got a build component in there. And I said, I want you to, I do some volunteer work with my church youth group. And I wanted to put together a Jeopardy-like game with some kind of church-related questions that they would have fun with, right? So I said, I'm going to just see what this can do. So I said, build me a Jeopardy game with questions from this for this group, and it literally went and wrote the code for the game, developed the game, scoring, passing it back and forth. You could have multiple teams, etc. And it did all of it in 2 minutes.
Just crazy.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
Fully operational Jeopardy game from nothing to game. And so when we're able to go and say, hey, I've got a consulting business and I'm teaching people how to use AI, write my entire marketing program for me and launch it, go. And it does everything. And all of a sudden leads are coming in and you have no idea how they got there because AI did everything. That's
Game
coming.
changer.
That's coming.
Absolutely,
And
it is.
I think we will see that in the next 24 months.
Yeah. So, thanks so much for this wonderful conversation. Do you have a gift you'd like to offer to our listeners?
Yeah. So if people want to come and visit our website, they have an opportunity to engage with our AI agent. We build agents that can talk, they can hold meetings, they can call, they can answer calls, they can text, they can email, the full conversational agents. So have them come to our website. It's think.ai, THYNK.ai. And when they engage with the agent, say, hey, we heard you on Profit Minds, and we'll give you $500 off your setup fee on your first agent.
Wow. Well, thanks for that.
Yeah.
And if people want to get in touch with you, just out of it, still go to the website. Is that the best way, or LinkedIn?
Yeah, you go to the website. Feel
the
free to hit me up on LinkedIn. Happy to connect with people there as well. I try to be fairly active on LinkedIn, but yeah, would love to connect with people. Happy to help answer questions about AI agents, how they could potentially employ them in their businesses. But yeah, happy to help people and show them how they can, hopefully empower themselves with a little bit of AI.
Great. Thanks so much. And that concludes our show. So thanks again to my guest, John Wong, the driving force behind Think AI, and a sought-after mentor and speaker. I hope you learned something about how to transform your business with AI. Thanks for listening. You've been listening to the Profit Minds podcast. This is your host, Dr. Stephen Kirch. Please visit www.profitminds.net for other episodes or to contact me. Thank you for your positive feedback, comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others. Thanks for listening. Have a grateful day.